Hi, my name is Luca. I'm one of the partners of Simultools and creator of SimTiles. So we're going to continue today with a second part of the preview overview, and we're going to talk about editing color presets and rules. This is going to be a bit more advanced, and it's a continuation of the previous tutorial. So if you haven't watched it already, go and watch the previous tutorial, which is the SimTiles overview preview overview 1. Okay, without much further ado, we have SimTiles loaded and we have SimTiles pointing to an existing scenery, and we're just playing with previews here and presets. What we want to do is to basically just tweak a preset. Let's say that let's try it. So we go to the night 2K, it's a zoom level 17, night clean, and preview how it would look like. So let's look at it first before doing any commit to any changing the color or rule presets. There you go. This is how it looks like, which is pretty good actually already. You have the input scenery, and this is basically how the night lighting looks like. That's the night lighting for the city scenery. Sorry, the city elevation 0 rule, hill elevation 1, and mountain elevation 2. Let's say we just like it, but we wanted to change the color, the hue from red to green for any particular reason. So we go on the to edit colors, night zoom level 17, and this is basically these. In here you have the 3 different presets depending on the elevation rule, on elevation data, and as you can see, the red glow which we see in the city elevation slowly fades more and more towards yellow, and you can see that in in here. In a second, let me just load the last preview. There it is. So as we progress from city to hill to mountain, the red glow fades more towards the yellow. So what we could do, we could use this value here to change effectively the hue of the night lighting. And the way you do it, you could basically just go in here, and maybe we just duplicate the existing rule first. So we duplicate it, yeah? Here it is, that's a duplicate, and we rename it, and we call it night underscore zoom level 17 underscore test. Okay. So in here we have this rule, which is a copy of this one here, and in here we just, so that we don't destroy the existing preset. In here we just edit this rule and we change the color. Let's say we will just for fun we want to make the light hue on the bluish side, and then we change also this one here, and we change that one there as well. And what else? Oh, let's say also we would like to change maybe the glow, have a bit more glow on the mountain, a bit of blur, maybe 4, just to see what happens. So we save the preset, and you may question, okay, what do these values do? It's a bit tricky. What do they do? So what you do, we go to the rules preset, and that's the one that we're using right now. And what you do, you open up the one of the rules. For instance, this is the city rule, and it opens up with Notepad++ in my case, which is the recommended open source software, which I talk about in another video, in another tutorial on additional optional software. And in here, on every rule which I created and which comes with SimTiles, at the top there is a comment section, and comments are lines which begin with a hash, and basically each of these comments tells you how colors as well as amounts and blur values are actually used in context. So for instance, night clean, color A removes forests, amount A is the strength of this removal, color B is remove beige terrain, and amount B is the strength. color C is the actual light color, strength and area bleed, and color D is light halo effects color, amount D is strength, blur D is the area bleed and size. So it looks like, let's say that we want to boost a bit the light. So we basically need to work with amount D and amount C. So we go back to SimTiles, and under here we just change the amount C and amount D. We could basically maybe boost these values a bit, just for fun, and maybe a bit here as well. I don't know, let's just try something, let's see what happens. Save, and finally this one here, 2.8, save. So this is basically elevation 0, and you may also want to look at elevation 1 and 2, which are the ini files for the other two elevations, so city, hill and mountain. In this particular case, it's the same rule, it's just a copy of each other, and all the parameters which differentiate between city, hill and mountains are coming from the actual variables, color presets. In other words, there's no distinction between these three files and the actual color. All these colors as well as amount of blur data are what drive the difference between city, hill and mountain. As you can see, this value change, and it's up to you to fiddle and play with this. So let's just save this. It's now in new. No, it's not in new, so let's select it, night clean, and preview the tile and see what happens. We should see a slight difference from the previous one. Oh wow, there it is. So before and after. So we've increased the blur. You can see that the halo is stronger, it's blurrier. We changed the color from the hue from red or yellow to a more kind of a cyan and green tint. And what else? That's it. So basically that's how you control and play and use presets. One thing to mention is we haven't talked about editing rules. So let's go back to here. Basically rules are, it's a pseudo language based on image magic scripting, and above each line there is a comment of what the line below does. So for instance, this line here in this particular preset does something, and the line above explains you quickly what it does. So it normalizes colors and removes green from the image. And so that's what it does. And then the one below, it removes brown from the image, and here I just added some comments, some suggested values. And the third one is it soft comp itself with tinted color. It's almost like an it looks like a Photoshop overlay function. Soft comp itself with tinted color, it blurs and gives it some strands, and then it soft comps itself again with another set of tinted color. This is for the, so basically the way it works is that I haven't covered it yet, sorry, is that basically it's a top-down process. Each line is read from top to bottom, and the output of each line is fed as an input for the subsequent line. So this is, and the first input is in fact the source. So the source, it does something, and the output is then fed back in here as the source. Something happens, then the output is fed back into here. Something else happens, the output is fed back into here, and then basically the output is fed into here, and finally the last output is what is exported. It's effectively working as a procedural, almost like a procedural node-based compositing software, and it's scriptable and editable. You can change this any way you want. It just needs a bit more kind of in-depth knowledge. I believe that default presets are pretty good as they are as a starting point. I mean, you may want to expand upon this and do anything you want with this. And so back to the preview. I digressed a bit. Where are we? There you go. So what happened was we just changed the color preset, and it looks like this. And let's say that one thing to look at, which is quite useful, is this number here, and see how it changes. It's 10, 15 and 18. And if you look at the rule preset amount B, let's see what it does. It's basically remove beige from the terrain, and it's basically the strength. So this value here is pretty much what controls how much lighting there is. So let's say that we want to have less aggressive erosion of light in the mountain area. So it goes from 10 to 15 to 18. We can keep it at maybe we can keep it at 16. Save and run it again and see how it looks like. Boom. What I'm expecting to see is basically reintroducing a little bit more light in this area here, in the dash. There you go. So I'm actually now introducing more lighting. So the key to vary the amount of lighting is to open up the rule preset, look at what these comments do. Look at the comments and see what the values do. Then go back to the color preset and change the values accordingly. So let's say you like the city lighting, which is 10, and you want to have the same lighting for mountainous area. You just basically see what the differences are between these two numbers, what the numbers differences are here, and basically edit these accordingly. And again, when you edit this, just save and then preview it again. Make sure you select it and preview it again. Make sure that it gives you the desired result, and then finally run the process, the creation process. So I've now edited the strength, and there you go. Now what I did, I've basically reintroduced lighting for the mountainous area. So you can see the mountain is pretty much as lit now as the city. And the color is slightly different because if you look at here, if you compare, there's a slight change in saturation and brightness of the yellow and the cyan compared to these two here. And also the amounts are different. So the strength, which controls the brightness, these two values here are different. They are not as strong as the city here. I think that's all. One more thing to add is that contrary to colors presets, right now there is no ability to visually edit rules presets other than editing them using a text file editor like Notepad++, which I highly recommend. So the idea is that, let's see, actually you can duplicate. So you can, let's say you duplicate your rules. So now we have this duplicated rule preset. We rename the folder to like rule test. There you go. And you open the file, and now you basically can go and freely edit this rule without the risk of breaking anything else without the risk of breaking existing rules. And where do these files live? They live in the SimTiles folder. We have preset rules, and in here you basically, I think it's worth mentioning, this drop down lists folders. So the folder here, basically these rules are folders. So this is a copy of this folder here, which was just created, and it contains 3 files inside, and these 3 files are the 3 files which you open when you click on the open button. Similarly, you have color rules which live inside the SimTiles folder, and these are folders, and but colors are actually much better implemented and more easily to edit them using the actual tab. So for color, just edit them using this, and these tabs, make sure to press save. And for rules, I highly recommend just basically using a notepad like Notepad++ to just edit these rules. Hopefully the provided templates are good enough to do most of the work. You have night, and you have for different zoom levels, as well as seasons for different basically snow heavy and snow light at different zoom levels. But the idea is that you may want to expand upon this and make your own color preset for maybe zoom level 18 series if you have any. And the idea is that you just basically select this, select your preferred zoom preset, duplicate it, then basically rename it. You may want to call it zoom level 18, so you go and select it. And in here, let's say that you wanted to change some numbers, and you have to experiment based on what the rule presets do, as shown earlier. Save it, and now in here you have the option to choose snow heavy zoom level 18. Obviously you may want to use values which are more sensible than me just randomly fiddling with this right now. But that's basically how these rules are created and are editable, and I'm encouraging the users, anybody, to just go and make their own, edit their own. That's how it works. Well, that's it for the more advanced preview and colors and rules editing. Hope it was worth watching and worth your time. Thanks for watching, and take care. Bye.